The last children. The world we live in isn't the one you remember. It's been torn apart, reshaped by fear, and molded into something almost unrecognizable. The streets that once bustled with the laughter of children are silent now, except for the occasional sound of footsteps echoing through the empty alleys. Those footsteps belong to a man whose name is whispered in terror, a name that children fear even in their nightmares. My name is Alex, and I am 15 years old. I don't remember a time when I wasn't afraid. Every shadow, every creak of a floorboard, every rustle of the wind brings with it the fear that he is near. The man who has taken everything from us, a serial killer whose twisted joy in his work has left the world barren of children except for a few of us. There are only 7 of us left now. 7 children in a world where being young is the greatest danger of all. The others, our friends, our brothers, our sisters, they are all gone. Taken by the killer who prowls our streets, hiding in plain sight, always watching, always waiting. He has been doing this for years, picking us off one by one, and there's nothing we can do to stop him. The adults can't help us. They're as scared as we are, if not more. They don't know how to protect us, and the killer knows this. He enjoys it. But there is one thing about him that gives us a slim chance of survival: his blind spot. For all the evil in his heart, for all the death he has brought upon us, he hates children. Not in the way you would think, not in the way that makes him want to kill us. No, he despises us with a deep, burning loathing that makes him recoil from us. It's why he kills us, because he can't stand the sight of us. We disgust him, and that disgust drives him to eliminate us, to cleanse the world of our existence. It's twisted, isn't it? That this very hatred might be our only way to survive. But how do you hide from a man who has taken your friends, who knows your every move, who can be anyone, anywhere? The answer is simple: you can't. All you can do is run, hide, and hope that the fear that drives him to kill also drives him to make a mistake. We have become experts at hiding. We've had to. We've moved from place to place, never staying in one spot for too long. We've found refuge in the ruins of old buildings, in the forgotten corners of the city where no one dares to go. We've learned to be quiet, to stay out of sight, to blend into the shadows. But even with all our precautions, we know it's only a matter of time before he finds us. Tonight, as I sit in the cold, dark basement of an abandoned house, I can't help but think of the friends I've lost. I think of Lily, with her bright smile and kind heart, who was taken in the middle of the night while we slept. I think of Mark, who tried to fight back, who refused to go down without a struggle, and who paid the price for his bravery. I think of Sarah, the youngest of us all, who never got the chance to grow up. I don't cry anymore. The tears dried up long ago, replaced by a numbness that has settled deep in my bones. It's hard to feel anything when you've seen so much death, when you've been living in fear for as long as you can remember. But I can't let myself become completely numb, because numbness leads to complacency, and complacency is a death sentence in this world. My friends, the ones who are still with me, are all I have left. There's Max, who at 16 is the oldest of us, and who has taken on the role of our leader. He's smart, resourceful, and brave, but I can see the fear in his eyes, the same fear that haunts all of us. Then there's Emma, who is 13, and who has a way of finding hope even in the darkest of times. She refuses to let go of the belief that one day things will get better, that we will survive this nightmare. And there's Jack, who at 12 is the youngest of us now, and who looks up to Max as a big brother. The three of us, Max, Emma, and I, have made a pact. We will protect each other, no matter what. We will do whatever it takes to survive, even if it means making sacrifices we never thought we'd have to make. We've already lost too much. We can't afford to lose each other. As the night wears on, the silence becomes suffocating. Every little sound makes me jump, and I can see the same tension in Max and Emma. Jack is asleep, curled up in a corner with a blanket pulled over his head, trying to block out the world. I envy him, his ability to find some semblance of peace in a world that has none. Do you think he's close? Emma whispers, her voice barely audible in the darkness. Max shakes his head, though I can see the uncertainty in his eyes. I don't know. But we can't take any chances. We need to stay hidden until morning. Morning. It's a word that has lost its meaning. The days blend into nights, and the nights into days, in an endless cycle of fear and exhaustion. But we hold onto the hope that with each morning, we are one day closer to escaping this nightmare. Maybe we should move again, I suggest, though the thought of leaving our current hiding place fills me with dread. He might know we're here. Max considers this, his brow furrowed in thought. We can't keep running forever. Eventually, we're going to have to face him. How? Emma asks, her voice trembling. How do we face someone like him? Max doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is filled with a quiet determination that sends chills down my spine. We find his weakness. Everyone has one, even him. We just have to figure out what it is. I want to believe him, but how do you find a weakness in a man who has spent years hunting children, who has perfected the art of killing without leaving a trace? It's a question that has haunted me for as long as I can remember, and one that I fear we may never find the answer to. The hours drag on, and I can feel sleep tugging at the edges of my consciousness. But I can't let myself fall asleep. Not yet. Not until I'm sure we're safe. I force myself to stay awake, my mind racing with thoughts of what might come next. Eventually, I must have dozed off because the next thing I know, I'm being shaken awake by Max. His face is pale, his eyes wide with fear. Alex, wake up. We need to go. Now. The urgency in his voice snaps me awake, and I quickly scramble to my feet. Emma is already up, her eyes wide with panic. Jack is still asleep, oblivious to the danger that surrounds us. What is it? I ask, my heart pounding in my chest. He's here, Max says, his voice barely above a whisper. We need to move. Now. The words send a jolt of fear through me, and I feel a cold sweat break out on my skin. He's here. The man who has been hunting us, the man who has taken our friends, is here, in this house. There's no time to think, no time to plan. We grab what little we have, a few blankets, a flashlight, and some food, and quickly make our way to the back door. We move as quietly as we can, but every step feels like it's echoing through the empty house, alerting him to our presence. We reach the back door, and Max slowly turns the handle, praying that it doesn't make a sound. The door creaks open, and we slip out into the night. The air is cold, and the darkness is thick, but we don't stop. We keep moving, our footsteps quick and quiet as we make our way down the alley. Behind us, I can hear the sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate, getting closer with each passing second. He's following us, and he's getting closer. Run. Max hisses, and we break into a sprint, our feet pounding against the pavement as we race through the narrow alleyways. My heart is pounding in my chest, my breath coming in short, sharp gasps. I can feel the fear gripping me, threatening to overwhelm me, but I push it down, focusing on the only thing that matters: surviving. We weave through the maze of alleyways, taking sharp turns and doubling back in an attempt to lose him. But he's relentless, always just a few steps behind, never letting up. I can hear his breathing now, heavy and ragged, like an animal on the hunt. We burst out onto a deserted street, and I feel a surge of panic. There's nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. We're exposed, vulnerable. Over there, Max shouts, pointing to an old, crumbling building at the end of the street. We make a beeline for it, our legs burning with the effort of running. The building looms before us, its windows shattered, its walls covered in graffiti. It looks like it hasn't been occupied in years, but it's our only hope. We reach the building and quickly slip inside, the door slamming shut behind us. The interior is dark and musty, the air thick with the smell of decay. We don't stop, don't hesitate. We race up the stairs, our footsteps echoing through the empty halls. We reach the top floor and find a small room at the end of the hallway. The door is hanging off its hinges, and the floorboards creak ominously as we step inside. The room is empty, save for a few pieces of broken furniture and a shattered window that lets in a sliver of moonlight. Max shuts the door behind us and wedges a chair under the handle. Though we all know it won't hold for long if he finds us. We collapse onto the floor, our chests heaving, our bodies trembling with exhaustion and fear. "Do you think we lost him?" Emma asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Max shakes his head, his face grim. "I don't know. But we need to be quiet. If he hears us." He doesn't need to finish the sentence. We all know what will happen if he finds us. The room falls into an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of our ragged breathing. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest, each beat echoing in my ears like a drum. The fear is suffocating, a heavy weight pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I glance over at Jack, who is huddled in a corner, his eyes wide with terror. He's too young for this, too innocent. He shouldn't have to live in a world like this. None of us should. We can't keep running like this, I say, my voice trembling. He'll find us eventually. We need to come up with a plan. What kind of plan? Emma asks, her voice tinged with desperation. How do we stop someone like him? Max is silent for a moment, his brow furrowed in thought. When he finally speaks, his voice is low and determined. We need to find his weakness. We've been running for so long, but maybe it's time we turn the tables. I stare at him in disbelief. You want to confront him? Are you crazy? He'll kill us. Max meets my gaze, his expression resolute. Maybe. But if we keep running, he'll still catch up to us eventually. This way, at least we have a chance. A chance to do what? Emma asks, her voice trembling. To die. I don't want to die, Max. I don't want any of us to die. Neither do I, Max replies, his voice softening. But I can't just sit here and wait for him to find us. We need to fight back. I can see the determination in his eyes, the resolve that has kept us alive this long. Max is right, we can't keep running forever. But the thought of confronting the man who has taken so much from us, who has killed so many of our friends, fills me with a deep, bone-chilling terror. How? I ask, my voice barely audible. How do we fight him? He's stronger than us, faster than us. He's a killer, Max. We're just kids. We might be just kids, Max says, his voice steady, but we've survived this long, haven't we? We've outsmarted him before, and we can do it again. We just need to find his weakness. But we don't know what it is, Emma protests. How are we supposed to find something that might not even exist? We'll have to take a risk, Max replies. Maybe he hates us because we're kids. Maybe that's his weakness. If we can use that against him. His words trail off, and I can see the doubt flickering in his eyes. It's a long shot, and we all know it. But it's the only shot we have. What if it doesn't work? I ask, voicing the fear that's gnawing at all of us. Then at least we tried, Max says, his voice resolute. At least we didn't just wait around for him to kill us. The room falls into a tense silence as we all consider Max's words. The fear is still there, gnawing at my insides, but beneath it, I feel a flicker of something else: hope. It's faint, almost imperceptible, but it's there. Okay, I finally say, my voice trembling. We'll do it. We'll fight back. Emma looks at me, her eyes filled with fear and uncertainty. But after a moment, she nods. I'm in.